Welcome to another episode of The Modern Moron. This was supposed to be an easy-peasy, light episode with my friend and stand-up comedian Christine Lederman. And we'll get there. Until I decided to include something that I felt looked at both sides of the Second Amendment / gun violence issue that, along with some other issues, you can throw on the pile of burning tires that divides this country right now. And it has taken me a week to calm down enough to try it again. So here's a 10-minute intro. I do this tiny podcast for like a half dozen or so of us because, I have fun doing it. I find some interesting people, interesting stuff, and I really am at a crossroads of being a complete shut-in that doesn't want to engage at all with our civilization as it has become. And there's another part of me that wants to be able to stay connected in some way. So to do that, I have to read, watch, and listen to the news with a sense of curiosity rather than an opinion. I'm really trying to get rid of my opinions that have collected like a... You ever drive by or walk through your neighborhood and somebody has their garage open and they can't even fit a car inside it anymore? That's how many opinions I have. You ever see garages like that? Maybe you have one. So the guns issue. Selfishly, I think the thing that pisses me off most is that I can't use this anymore. Yeah, can't do it. I love the old machine gun sound effect as a symbol of overreacting to trivial matters. If I owned an assault rifle, I would probably be sharing with you how I went off on my dishwasher, or my weed eater, or my garage door opener, some inanimate item that is the object of my wrath. But I can't do that anymore because of the right to bear arms. The Second Amendment, written in 1791. Couple of things to note about 1791. The population density of the entire country or colonies was the same as the city of Los Angeles, or a little more than the state of Connecticut. Many folks needed guns to acquire their protein. The most common guns were muskets and flintlock pistols. Okay? The most skilled hunters and marksmen, the most skilled, could load from the muzzle of the weapon, fire, reload, and fire again about every 20 seconds. Or if they're really good, maybe 15 seconds. So 3 to 4 rounds per minute. Also, those firearms were highly inaccurate. They didn't use bullets shaped for aerodynamics that would rotate to keep their aim true. They were musket balls, okay, which does not refer to the genitalia of a male muskrat. I said musket balls.
Those are my balls.
They did not fly true at all. So, what do we have? The Federal Aviation Administration. Well, why do we have to have that law? Well, we couldn't fly for a while, and then we could. Well, what about the FCC, the Federal Communications Commission? Well, we didn't need that when communications existed by a letter being delivered by a horse. Actually, it wasn't delivered by a horse. It was delivered by a person on a horse. But shit changes, so you have to change the laws.
Take a little Valium, calm down, little babies.
I feel like there's a silent majority of conservatives. I know there is because I talked to them. Maybe they voted for Trump, but they were embarrassed to say so because you should be embarrassed of him and his lack of integrity as a person.
I am the chosen one.
Most of these silent majority wish he would just go away. They also believe in the right for a woman to choose, but they don't want to speak up because it goes against their faith tradition. Most of the Republicans and conservatives I know maintain their political viewpoint for fiscal reasons and fiscal policy. Run your government like you run a household. Don't spend more than you have. And if you borrow money, you better have a plan to pay it back. Balance the budget, blah, 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 blah. But when it comes to social policy, they are reasonably positioned. But to speak out in the midst of our own contemporaries, I'm going to use air quotes, it just isn't worth it. Let's relook at that. Over and over, the right to keep these automatic weapons and assault rifles is a more important right than the right of a kid to be able to go to school without having to be concerned about being shot, murdered, having their friends murdered. Because that radiates out from that school, throughout that school district, throughout that city, throughout that state and the country. Imagine how it radiates. All the schools across the country who have to reestablish and practice their active shooter drills with 5, 6, and 7-year-olds asking, why do we have to sit in this closet and keep quiet for how long? And someone has to explain that to them and not bullshit them by making it some kind of a game. So, I want to bring your attention to a couple of articles on the recent shootings and the two groups of frightened people who either fear they or their children will be the next victims of a mass shooting because there are too many assault rifles, or the frightened people who think there aren't enough assault rifles to combat the assault rifles. As you can tell, I'm absolutely enraged, as you probably are, at the lack of functionality of our government, their inability to compromise, and I have deleted so many expletives on this. The group of people that subscribe to the best solution to a bad guy with a gun is a good guy with a gun philosophy.
You dick!
Okay. I can't even make a point here without going off on a tangent because I'm so pissed off. There is, I don't know his name, the chairman of the NRA, who complains how 120 gun laws don't work, so one more isn't going to help. The reason we have 120 gun laws in the first place is because the that want to cling on to their guns dig their heels in and won't allow one or even a couple of thorough laws get passed. Because you're either afraid the Russians or the Chinese are coming over the hill, or there's going to be martial law declared, so you need your guns to protect your families. But all those guns are actually killing each other's families. Go drink a pot of coffee on an empty stomach, and that's how amped up I get. It's that bad.
God damn it!
Let one good gun law pass, and you won't need 120 gun laws that don't work. Which is the point of an article that is in favor of what they're calling the Swiss cheese theory. Hear me out on this. A weak gun law has holes in it, like a piece of Swiss cheese. But if you stack a bunch of slices of Swiss cheese with varying holes, you'll get good coverage. That's the Swiss cheese theory. One of the new gun laws, I don't know if it's new and I don't know if it'll pass, but there's these red flag laws. I need to get back on track here. The first is an interview/article from a gun advocate, actually. And I felt it was worth it for you to listen because it seemed relatively intelligent. It's from NPR. Yes, that's left-leaning. But the interviewee is a man named David French, who is the senior editor of The Dispatch, which is a subscription-based, advertisement-free online magazine. MediaBiasFactCheck.com puts them as a right-center bias publication with a high factual reporting credibility. They are not as far to the right as, say, Fox News, which has a mixed factual reporting credibility and has decided not to cover the hearings about January 6th.
We're going to walk down and I'll be there with you.
Back to David French. He is also a contributing writer at The Atlantic, which is a high credibility, left bias monthly magazine. This cat went to Harvard Law School where he graduated with honors. I know I wouldn't want to have a debate with him. He is in favor of this concept called red flag laws that allow the proper authorities to reclaim or seize guns from those deemed to be a threat to the public or themselves by a similar legal procedure as, say, getting a restraining order.
The due process objection here, I think, is dealt with by the precedent of domestic violence restraining orders. This is not something that courts are unaccustomed to, is the idea of dealing with somebody who is demonstrating that they're a threat to themselves or others.
The other article is the one I mentioned earlier. It's about this Swiss cheese deal, and it's in regard to California. I know the rest of the country thinks California is crazy. However, California has one of the most successful package, I guess I'll have to put, of gun laws. The article I have for you in the description of this episode is a link to a New York Times article, the title of which is California Has America's Toughest Gun Laws, and They Work. So the gentleman that's sort of the person being interviewed in the article, his name is Dr. Garen Wintemute. Let me just read the first couple of paragraphs for you. The grotesque toll of gun violence is again being debated in Congress. States are not holding their breath, particularly California, in ways that have tended to be underreported. The state has significantly lowered gun deaths. Dr. Garen Wintemute, an emergency room doctor and longtime firearm violence researcher, said this week, quote, for the last 20, maybe even 25 years, except for the 2 years of the pandemic, which have increased homicides and suicides across the country, our rates of firearm violence have trended downward, he said. He directs the Violence Prevention Research Program at the University of California Davis Medical Center. The article goes on with an interview of the doctor, and they mentioned that within the recent past, California had a mass shooting, by what measure are the policies a success? He says you have to look at it on a population basis. We do have more mass shootings in California, but we are also by far the largest state. He said he looked a while ago at the rates of firearm violence across the 21st century, homicide and suicide together, and the rest of the country was up, but California's rates were so far down that the average was flat. Then they go on to sort of get to this Swiss cheese deal. And they're talking about nothing works, that California's strict gun laws are ineffective. And he says that's because we evaluate these policies one at a time in isolation. The results for one policy might be mixed or even negative, but what California has done over a number of decades has been to enact a whole bundle of policies that he thinks work in synergy to measurable effect. That's when they bring up the Swiss cheese model, in that you line up these different laws and you have complete coverage. Theory and practice, I don't know. But God damn it, you got to do something. And it's just...
God damn it!
I sound like a broken record. You know what I'm supposed to be reporting on? You know what I'm supposed to be telling you about? I'm supposed to be telling you about things like different types of peanut butter sandwich combinations. Yeah, that was a segue. Can you believe that? Only on this show would you segue from gun violence to peanut butter and pickle sandwiches.
Folks, I'm a moron.
I heard this recently, a sandwich with peanut butter and, you know, those sweet pickle slices? I think they're called bread and butter chips. They're advocating a sandwich that is peanut butter. Instead of jelly, you put bread and butter chips on the peanut butter, and you get this sweet and sour, tangy, delicious sandwich. And I can't believe, as I'm saying that about 60 seconds ago, I was raging about gun violence. Okay, welcome to my world.
It is crazy.
Whew, God damn. Okay, so I do have a guest for you. I do have a guest. It's Christine, our stand-up comedian. She's making a leap. She's going to try to start headlining. I think that's a huge deal, and I'm really excited for her and proud of her. She's going to be doing some headlining later in the fall, and we will have dates. A lot of the initial ones are on the East Coast. We will keep you abreast of those dates as they come up. In this, I make a confession of it's something having to do with tarot cards. I know that sounds weird, right? This is a weird episode. I know that, but Christine actually is the perfect person for me to confide in about this tarot card issue because she is very much under the impression that she has psychic abilities. Not only that, but she will also tell you that the reason her intuitions about me are completely wrong is because I don't believe she has, air quotes again, the gift. So it's my fault.
I'm a moron.
She proceeds to prove her inaccuracies during our call, but I think we might have a regular segment called, something like the psychic eye of Queen Christine or something like that. I don't know. I got to work on it. We start our conversation with me inquiring about the hotel business as she's paying the bills with that and what seems to be the overall difficulty in our economy these days and our culture to get people to want to come back to work and to stay working. Sorry for that long rant. I hope you will check out the 2 articles that I put in the description. And thank you for listening to The Modern Moron. How is the hotel business?
Oh, it is a treat.
Is it back to business as usual, pretty much?
It's back to business as usual. However, trying to find anyone to work is almost impossible.
What do you think the deal is? People just forget it. I'll be unemployed or I can get better pay somewhere else?
No, it's our new generation. They're not working. They can't handle work because it's hard.
Blah, blah, blah.
They call in sick all the time. They need a mental health break day.
Girlfriend, please.
It's just nonstop.
Really?
Yeah.
At what can you, and we're not supposed to profile, but what is given that, what is the profile of the people that you are interviewing these days? Are they college graduates?
They're not so much college graduates as, well, it just depends. It's a lot of them are in school.
I'm 10.
Because we're close to CU Boulder. So they're almost college graduates, but they just don't want to work. They're not trained to work.
And the ones that you have hired, they're constantly calling in sick and I'm too stressed out to work today and that type of stuff.
Exactly. So it's really challenging. And I know everyone's dealing with this, like at almost any location. And I beg people to be a little kinder to whomever's working because they're probably doing the job of 3 or 4 people.
Well, okay, then I'm getting mixed messages here. Part of me is saying, oh, this younger generation, they can't work without the, oh, I got to take a stress day off. But on the other hand, I'm hearing the stress is legitimate. Do you know what I mean? That they are doing the work of 3 or 4 people because there's not enough coverage.
Well, those people, yeah, but they're usually the responsible, the ones that aren't calling in.
Okay. So what are you getting more of? The people that you do hire are too sensitive little snowflakes that have to have.
Yes. They never had a good beating as a child. So we definitely need more of that. Here's how bad it was. I was at Nordstrom's looking for a snazzy outfit on my way to Nashville, and I had to crawl under the dressing room doors because there was no one there to even unlock them.
I had that same experience.
You
at a
did?
Target. At a Target, yeah. I had like, $150, which is a lot to me, $100 and something worth of stuff, and it was in the morning, and I went over to a group of 4 workers. I said, "Hi, I need to try this on," and they said, "Oh, yeah, the dressing rooms don't open until 10," and it was 9:35. I said, "Well, can someone unlock it?" And they all looked at each other like,
aghast.
Yeah, I don't have a key.
You should have just started stripping.
I should have. I said, okay. And I set the stuff down and I walked out. I wonder what your manager would have thought of that.
Yeah, our manager called in for a mental health day, so they're not here. What's happening with you?
What is happening with me? I just had the flu.
Oh, no.
My daughter got COVID 3 days before her bat mitzvah.
Oh, wait, she had a bat mitzvah?
This Saturday she does.
Your daughter is a Jewish princess?
Not by my hand. I'm a genteel, heathen, whatever. I'm a nun.
You're a
You didn't know
goy.
she was...
No.
Yeah, her mother converted.
Oh.
I love the way you said that.
I'll try to hide the disappointment.
Yeah, it's not the same.
No.
Okay, let's leave that alone because otherwise I'll say things that
All right.
I meant to offend people.
So yeah, she got COVID 3 days before, and man, it was kind of a heartbreaker for her.
That sucks.
However, I mean that's what a mitzvah is, right? It's about becoming an adult, and shit happens.
It's a mitzvah. When you're an adult, you get adult illnesses.
You get disappointments, more importantly.
Yes, exactly.
Life is one big disappointment.
And did you have COVID as well?
I didn't. I never tested positive, even though she tested positive for like 4 days.
I finally got it a few months
You
ago.
did?
Yeah.
And how bad was it for you?
It got pretty bad, I have to say. The first 2 days I was okay, and then days 3 to 6 were not a treat. I was delirious. I had a fever. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Isn't it weird how we can ask people this? You don't walk up to somebody and say, "Did you get syphilis? How was it for you?" But we feel it's okay to ask anyone if they're vaccinated or if they've had COVID.
Although that was kind of a touchy subject at one point, wasn't it?
Yeah.
You couldn't say, "Hey, have you been vaccinated?" That's basically saying, "Are you a Republican or a Democrat?"
Yeah, you're right.
What you gonna do about it?
So
Right.
syphilis actually was probably a safer question at that point. You know what? Here's something that's right up your alley.
Yes.
I made a purchase recently. I was getting a present for my daughter.
Uh-huh.
It was at the bookstore, and I'm going to check out, and I'd been thinking about this, and I don't know why I did it, and I regret it now, but I'm talking to the checkout person, and I said, "Do you have any tarot cards?" And they said, "Yes, we do." "Which type were you interested in?" I said, "Do you have the standard ones? They're kind of yellow." And because I'm more than anything, I was sort of interested in the artwork
Yeah.
on these tarot cards. I said, "Have you heard of the ones that are sort of the art is like tattoo art. She said, oh, yes, we have that. That's one of my favorite decks. I do tarot and blah, 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 blah. She said, now she goes to hand them to me. She said, now, when you get these home, and then the clerk next to her was just listening like, oh, brother. She said, when you get these home, you need to cleanse them because you don't know.
Oh, God, and you're rolling your eyes when she's telling you this.
I wasn't rolling my eyes. She said, you need to cleanse them because you don't know who's touched them and you don't know where they've been. And I said, and how do I go about cleansing them? It was like sort of like with sage or some kind of, she said, sage, you could do that. Some people use incense. Some people ring a certain bell that cleanses them, or essential oils or something, but you don't want to stain them. And then you want to keep them in a certain place and you want to blah, 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 blah. And I said, well, I will be sure to do that. And then I thought, oh my God, what have I gotten myself into?
No, not you.
I've got this deck of the spiritual entity in my house. I'm afraid to set it on something. I went to set it on the counter. Oh, I can't set it there. I've got to set it on a silk freaking tablecloth, or you can't just set them on, because whenever I've seen people use tarot cards, they set out a cloth and they're very precious with them.
Yeah, you don't want someone's energy.
I'm not that type of person. I think I'm going to have to take them back. Seriously, I can't take the responsibility.
No, then you'll have bad luck.
Do you have tarot cards?
I've got 3 decks.
And do you have them sitting next to each other? Where are they? Do you sleep with them?
They are under a pillow that my black cat sits on.
And you consider that a place of honor?
They're just on a shelf.
They're on a shelf. And how do they feel about that?
I haven't used them for a while.
Really?
I cleansed them with 409.
Okay. They would not appreciate that.
No, they wouldn't.
Do they know your sense of humor?
They do, of course, because these are my gods.
They're your gods. Do you have them with you, right?
I'm going to pull a card for you.
Okay. Oh, we need to make this a regular segment.
I do. Actually, because you know my useless psychicness.
Yes, I do. One of the reasons I was telling a friend of mine why I don't want them, or why that's not me, is because I think I've come to a place in my life where I don't need to know what's going to happen. I don't want to know what's going to happen. I don't need to know. Whatever happens, just accept it. It's far more important to accept what is happening than to try and prepare for what you think might happen. Either I'm going to take them back or I'm going to send them to you.
Yeah, but you've already touched the deck, right?
But that doesn't mean you can't cleanse them, right?
All right. But that's why I'm pulling for you the love cards, because that.
Why are you, why don't you just pick from the whole deck? Why are you picking just for one suit?
This whole deck is just about love.
Oh, God. I don't need to know about that. That's not going to be good news.
All right.
Now, what are you spreading out your cards on? Is it not just the table?
I just have a pair of dirty underwear because I don't know where my cloth is.
Does the deck find that funny?
Jack, what is that about? Oh, yeah. Let's see if it does. Stay optimistic about your life. That's the answer.
In the tarot card, you just open a fortune cookie.
I wish I had a fortune cookie. No, it's the tarot deck. Let me pull a card for you, though. Hold on.
All right,
so I know you're
shuffling the deck?
Yeah.
All right.
Let's get your energy and get one of your guides. So your grandma Millie is popping in to help me pull a card from your mom's side.
I don't have a grandma Millie, but thanks.
You'd be surprised. It's a grandmother you don't know about. She's passed, but you'll meet her on the other side when you cross.
Other side of what? The street?
Nope. Oh, here's your card, okay?
What is my card?
Oh, love yourself first.
Well, wait, can you tell me what the card that came up? The suit and the 3 of swords or whatever?
No, it's not this. This is just strictly a love deck.
Oh,
so
okay.
These are different. These are your asking your guides about your love life.
Is it facing me or is it facing you? Isn't that
It's facing me, and it's a
okay,
beautiful.
so it's upside down for me, correct?
Correct. It's upside
Okay.
down for you.
And I'm sorry to keep interrupting you, but
No.
what does it mean if it's upside down for me?
Means that right now your life is upside down. Like your bed's unmade. You've got dishes
Okay.
turned the wrong way.
That's it way 365, 24/7. So that's not informative.
Oh, really?
Oh, God, yes. My
Okay.
bed's...
See, I
Okay.
saw that. This is just a love card for you about loving yourself first. It's got a beautiful princess, and she's kissing like a beast with a hat with one of those plume feathers on his hat. He's got
Is
the
that
whole
me?
beast. Yeah.
Okay.
And then the
All right.
princess is kind of actually, the princess has red hair, long red hair.
Okay. I do not have either of those things.
And there's a little angel on the corner with a sword.
Is that my daughter?
Get him out of here.
Maybe. Or a servant that you have in the house.
That could be my robot vacuum cleaner.
Okay, it just means your self-respect makes you more romantically attractive.
My self-respect?
Mm-hmm.
Do you think I have self-respect?
Well, this is telling you need to love yourself more.
Okay. And is it going to tell me how to do that? Would you tell me how to do that, or how to love yourself more? Does that mean
Well,
I
you
should
can-
masturbate more?
No, you just start with a good pair of jeans.
I did buy a new pair of jeans recently, but
See?
okay.
What's happening?
Recently, as in like 6 months ago.
Oh, well, that's pretty recent.
Okay. For me, it is. Yeah.
Yeah.
Love yourself more.
First. If you love yourself
Okay.
first, you'll find love elsewhere.
Oh, okay. I don't know how to love myself, really. When I think of loving myself, I think I'm going to go get a gallon of ice cream and eat it all. And
No,
that's
that's
not.
eating so no one else can love you. Loving yourself first would be like, say you're going to open the car door for a woman, then you would open the door and say, no, that's for me. And then you get in and shut it.
Okay. But isn't that disrespectful to the other person?
Yes, of course it is. It's horrid.
So that was a test. You were testing me, weren't you?
Yes.
Okay. All right. I'm onto your game. Anything else? Love myself first. Does it say love is on the horizon?
It will be, Smitty, once you love yourself first.
Okay. Well, that could not happen in this lifetime.
Okay, here we go. Financial issues are a factor in your love life right now. The finances and career card is up.
I thought you just were going to draw one card. You're
I
drawing
know,
more
but
than
you
one.
asked another question. So I had to
Oh,
pull
okay.
another one.
What was my other question? Oh, is it on the horizon? And you
Yeah.
said no because finances are in the way right now, which is
Yeah.
correct.
Finances and career.
Yeah, finance is a little tough right now. And the career is a little rough right now, huh?
It is.
I'm asking you. Jeez, I feel like
You should
Burns and
tell
Allen
me.
here.
Tell me what's happening.
I'm not supposed to. You're supposed to tell me.
Okay, I am going to tell you. I'm pulling one more card. This is the last one.
But do I need to ask a question first?
Well, you just said about your career and your finances are on the horizon.
You said that. I swear, this is like we're like. Oh my gosh, it's like Abbott and Costello.
You know the guy's name on first base?
Sure.
Tell me the guy's name on first base.
Who?
The guy playing first base.
Who is on first, Lou?
What are you asking me for?
Mish, I'd like my money back.
That'll be $35.
Okay, but this is a good card. This is
Okay.
a lovely, another woman. These cards are all like women probably in the 1800s. So we've got a woman that looks like Lady Mary Crawley.
Mhm.
And she's holding a prince or a man in a uniform, and he's got a knife, but not to her. It's out. Like he was going to cut her, but he decided against it, maybe. So it says, trust. The situation is calling for you to have faith, which is tying in for you to have faith that your finances and career will get better. You love yourself more and you'll get love, yada, yada. All is good. Happily ever after. That'll be $75.
Yeah. Were you reading out of a booklet
No.
a little bit? You weren't.
No, I'm not.
Okay. All right. You know your tarot cards.
I do, yeah.
Okay. All right. Well, I think we should make this a regular segment.
Pulling tarot cards. I'll get a better deck and get it all ready with the cloth.
I
and
think I'm going to
cleanse.
send you my deck.
Okay.
And then you can just use that deck for me.
Oh, that's perfect. That's a great idea.
Okay, there you go. Because I felt so, not guilty, but like responsible for this deck, that it had this personification that I didn't know what to do with it. So I had some like lavender oil. What do they call that kind of oil?
Yeah, little lavender oil.
Yeah, I put it inside the box. I'm like, oh God, I hope.
Ooh.
Are you guys okay with lavender? Talking to the deck like an idiot.
Which I saw that.
So I'm gonna send them to you, and they'll be in much better hands.
I love lavender.
You do.
Yes, that's good healing.
That was kind of a weird episode, right? Too much politics at the top, and then tarot cards? Really? A couple of things before we part ways. As of the recording of this episode, The Modern Moron is exactly 14 downloads away from its 10,000th download. Huh? Doesn't that sound impressive? Well, let's put a little perspective on that huge milestone. Okay, I'm trying to get an idea of, is this podcast doing anything? 10,000 is not nothing, but it took over 2 years, I think, and well over 100 episodes. But listen to this. If your new episode gets, within 7 days of its release, more than 26 downloads, you're in the top 50% of podcasts. I think we might do that. More than 72 downloads, you're in the top 25% of podcasts. I don't think we're at 72, but I think we're at or more than 26 downloads per episode. That makes this podcast better than half the podcasts out there. So why don't we have more people listening? Because we're morons here. We don't know how to market stuff. But you can't market a product that you don't have. And now The Modern Moron has, over 100 episodes. So that's an inventory to consume, right? Okay. Here's my last site. This is called firstsiteguide.com. And these are interesting podcast statistics. All right. There are more than 1 million unique individual podcasts. That's a lot. And this is dated somewhat. Around 78.9 million people in the U.S. will watch podcasts. Now, come close to the speaker because I have something to share with you. This podcast, The Modern Moron, we may not have a lot of listeners, but I will guarantee you one thing. My listeners do not watch their podcasts, all right? They listen to them while they're getting shit done, all right? Period. And I will take that over a Joe Rogan-sized audience any day. But I have a feeling Joe Rogan's audience doesn't watch their podcasts either. Okay, that's it. I've got more Christine Lederman coming up. I'm going to try to get the senator back, not to discuss politics, but to talk about the financial situation in this country. It's pretty crappy. And believe it or not, he does have some perspective on the financial markets and the cost of money, that being the prime interest rate, where to put your money or where not to put your money. And I'm going to try and snag him back for some of that. Until then, we've got midterm elections coming up, and you know how the beginning of this episode started. So please, let's stop repeat offenders. Don't reelect them. We'll see you next time.
What else did you find out in this drugstore?
Well, I saw a big display of kiss-proof lipsticks.
Kiss-proof lipstick?
Yes, and George, I I'm a little worried about the modern girls.
Why should that worry you?
Well, it was different when I was a girl. When we kissed a boy, he didn't need lipstick on his face for proof. He knew he'd been kissed.
Gracie, didn't you tell me that I was the first fella you ever kissed?
Then I went to the fountain to have him malted.
I knew you'd go there.
Oh, and the way some women dress now. I said to this nice little old man sitting in the stool next to me, look at that customer over there at the magazine counter. In those slacks, you can't tell whether he's a girl or she's a boy.
What did the old man say?
He said, she's a girl and she's my daughter, and I apologized. I said, I didn't realize you were her father. He says, I'm not, I'm her mother.
Gracie, I'm kind of broad-minded. Was I the second fella you ever kissed? The third?
Then I talked to Mrs. Quigley, who was there to get some pills for her husband's nerves. She said he was a very nervous man, and it worried him because he didn't know why.
Fourth? Fifth?
So I told Mrs. Quigley, I said, well, if you want to keep him from worrying, why don't you forget about the pills and buy some firecrackers instead?
Sixth?
I said, Mrs. Quigley, why don't you set them off under his chair when he isn't looking? He may still be nervous, but at least he'll know why.
Gracie, how many fellas did you kiss before me?
Good night, everybody.